You will hear venture capitalists talk about investing in jockeys, not horses. That's because we'll always invest primarily in the CEO, not the technology, not the business model, not even the market, but the CEO. That will make the difference between a business that succeeds and a business that doesn't. Right? So let me put that in the context of globalization. That was the model as of the 90s, where deals were done under, in taco ticos on napkins and millions of dollars was traded. That doesn't happen anymore. Now it is very much as he suggested. The software is written in Israel or Finland or Uzbekistan. The market could be in Europe, it could be South America, it may be in Asia. The management team is probably somewhere on this island and it's 4 guys and they never get together because they don't have an office, they have a telephone. Now given 100 of those, and we see roughly 600 to 700 deals a year, we do 4 or 5. But given a whole array of those deals, who do you invest in? And how do you pick who's going to make the big success? That's the risk that we're dealing with. The old venture model is probably going away. It's dead, but many of us don't know it. The new venture model is going to be how to deal with that completely diverse management model, completely diverse technology model, and even more diverse markets that we can't predict. If you've got an answer to that, let me know.
When I joined the Nielsen Company, many years ago, we were already in 23 countries. We're now in 105. And for those of you who don't know, we measure what people buy, so consumer packaged goods in stores in 105 countries, but also what people watch, so on TV, online, on your phone, and the impacts of advertising, therefore. So those are issues that affect every country. People buy food everywhere. Our global clients need us to measure the sales of food all over the world, and they are innovating because of that in providing new products in every country. So we have both multinational clients who need to understand demand in emerging markets, but also local clients in many, many countries with significant growth rates who are developing local products with the hope that the innovation and the development will go outside of their boundaries and in other directions. And we do a lot of testing for new product, particularly in the consumer packaged goods side, also around television programming. But the one thing we do know is that we see very significant amounts of new product testing happening all over the world. In fact, right now, for our CPG, consumer packaged goods business, the country that ranks 3rd in terms of product testing is China. That's after the US and the UK. And so there are many, many, many new products being tested, and that's only one little segment of the economy. So we see that from that perspective. We do see also just the significant changing demographics that are driving demand, both the huge growth in population in different countries, the increasing power of women, and womenomics, which is making a big difference in what products are requested. So all this leads to what we do, which is helping our clients understand what products they can sell, how they're doing, what the characteristics of those products should be. But it is global. It will continue to be that, and our business as a result will have to be. There are a couple very significant trends, particularly around digital technology. So the idea that everyone is connected in some way, and eventually we believe, and this is widely discussed, everyone will have a phone. That phone will be used for many different things, and that's where a lot of innovation is coming from, whether it be for health services, education, purchasing. But global consumers are digitally connected. They're demanding, they're discerning, and that's coming in places that people might not have ever anticipated, and products have to be customized to that local demand. But I think all of us have seen how connected the world is and how quickly social media and other things connect them. So the number one thing we see is that connection.
I think there are a couple of things going on. One is that there is what I would call multinational globalization of innovation. In other words, if you're running a Western-based multinational, that's a US one, a UK one, a French one, a German one, an Italian one, a Spanish one, you will, because of the globalization of economic progress, because of the surge of the middle class in India, in China, in Brazil, even in Russia, you will use these centers to try and develop thinking and innovation. So that's one thing that's going on. But at the same time, somebody mentioned, I think John mentioned Singapore. We work very closely with the EDB, for example, in Singapore. Just come back from India, from Delhi and Mumbai over the last couple of days. And the same thing between India and China, in Russia and Brazil, and the next 11, as Goldman puts it, or the Civets, as The Economist puts it. In those countries, they are trying to capture innovation, intellectual property, in the countries in which they operate. So you've got two things going on. You've got what I would call multinational penetration. Ford would be an example of that. We've just launched the first world car at Ford, the Focus. But at the same time, you have the local stuff going on. So our organizational response at WPP, we have 140,000 people in 107 countries. Our organizational response to those two things is twofold. The first thing is we build, as we have done for Ford, under their prompting and insistence, a seamless organization to launch worldwide products which have been innovated on a worldwide basis. So you have teams horizontally across our vertical brands, because we have about 12 operating companies, an Ogilvy, a JWT, a Y&R Gray, whatever it happens to be. That's one thing. But at the same time, what we've also done is put together country managers for WPP, because with the growing complexity of our business and industry at a local level, it becomes more and more important. Now, the other thing that we tend to do, which is totally wrong in my view, is we treat China and India, for example, with 1.3, 1.5 billion, 1.1, 1.2 billion people, in exactly the same way as we do Portugal with 5 million. It makes no sense whatsoever. So structurally, we have to change, not just in a horizontal sense, but in a vertical sense too. And as you know, China is already the second largest economy in the world, $5 trillion against 15 for the US. India is about 1.5 trillion. As these economies become more and more successful, and the growth rate in India actually is slightly faster than China at the moment, and certainly that indicated by China in the 12th five-year plan, we are going to break these structures down into different ways. So I would just make that distinction between what multinationals with that $2 trillion of cash sitting on their balance sheets and relatively unleveraged balance sheets and very cautiously expanding at the moment, and make that distinction between that and what's happening at the country level. Just a couple of other observations. Chinese-US relationships are not good. Not good at all. Indian-US relationships, on the other hand, are quite good. And I just came back, as I said, from India. The thing that really hit me was, and we saw a number of what you would call the Indian oligarchs while we were there. The really intriguing thing is their kids are being educated here. They themselves, a lot of them were educated here. Historically, they tended to have been educated in the UK, so Oxford and Cambridge tended to be the universities they're focused on. That is not the case today. And the really interesting thing, I think, is, just throwing it in, the link between India and America could be extremely powerful, because this new generation of the kids of the oligarchs, if that's the right way of putting it, are going to be very American.